December 3rd, 2020. You awaken, disoriented, and questioning what transpired in the past few days. What seemed like moments ago could have been hours or even days. As you gain your footing, you realize that your friends and fellow soldiers are nowhere to be seen. You make your way through the coarse sand, up the jagged moss-covered rocks, and make a shocking discovery. All of the crew had been turned to stone. This is how the story of Immortals Fenyx Rising begins, starting with total confusion and no explanation as to where you are or what is to happen. But this is not actually the beginning, as what is arguably the most important aspect of the story has already made its presence known. You see, the story begins with a monologue by the game's villain, Typhon, which is a giant whose looks befit his personality. We are then introduced to Prometheus, the Titan god of fire, who's said to have gifted humanity fire and knowledge. Alongside Prometheus is the almighty Zeus. This duo are the narrators of our story. Prometheus is seen as the level-headed storyteller, while Zeus is a cynical critic of Prometheus's every word, as Zeus imprisoned Prometheus for giving humans fire and had him chained to a rock, while birds would eat his liver every single day as punishment. This is just the beginning of the excellent usage of Greek mythology in this game. These two begin the story with retelling the events before Phoenix woke up. You see, Phoenix was a shield bearer, which was a low rank and generally showed that they were weaker than most others, which is very evident throughout the game because Phoenix is a lot smaller than every single other character in the game. But Phoenix wakes up on shore after a shipwreck while on the way to battle. Phoenix looks for their companions and discovers that they had been turned to stone, including their brother Ligeron, and they realize that they are alone. They picked up the Sword of Achilles, a dazzling steel and golden weapon containing a blue gem, ready to fight to survive in this unfamiliar land. When someone thinks of video game releases in late 2020, what comes to mind? Well, there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which released November 10th, Demon's Souls and Spider-Man Miles Morales, November 12th, and Cyberpunk released December 10th. Nobody thinks about many of the other games that were released during this period, including Immortals Fenyx Rising. It was a bad time to release the game, especially since it was so soon after a main installment of Ubisoft's flagship franchise in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This already limited the ability of the game to be noticed by many, but another major aspect of the forgetfulness of the game's existence is the fact that it's compared to a certain titan in gaming, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. See, Immortals Fenyx Rising is a game that's seen by many as a Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild clone. Undoubtedly, in many ways it is. The world is just as vibrant, the animation style is similar, the combat, exploration, and stamina usage are all similar. However, this game has something unique going for it, in my opinion, and that is that the story is almost constantly lighthearted. Breath of the Wild is not. Immortals Fenyx Rising is almost like a parody of a game, which makes it great. It's its own IP, which means that there's no pressure for it to stand up to other games in the series, such as how Assassin's Creed Odyssey is often compared to the other Assassin's Creed games. Immortals Fenyx Rising is awarded the ability to breathe, and they make good use of this. The combat is one of the most unique aspects of this game. Before we progress to more of the story, it's time to talk about the combat of Immortals Fenyx Rising. Immortals Fenyx Rising features a variety of weapons and abilities that players can use in combat. Each weapon and ability offers a distinct play style and allows players to tailor their combat approach to their preferred style. Some of the weapons in the game include the sword, which is a versatile weapon ideal for close quarters combat. It allows players to deal powerful blows and chain together quick combos. The bow, a ranged weapon that is ideal for picking off enemies from a distance. The bow can also be used to stun enemies and create opportunities for follow-up attacks. The axe, a heavy weapon that deals massive damage but has a slow attack speed. The axe is ideal for breaking through enemy defenses and dealing heavy damage to large groups of enemies. And lastly, the wings, which the wings are a unique weapon that allows players to take to the air and unleash aerial attacks on enemies. The wings are also useful for quickly traversing the game's vast open world. In addition to weapons, players can also acquire a variety of abilities that can be used to enhance their combat effectiveness. These abilities are known as godly powers. Some of the godly powers in this game include Zeus's Fury, which is a powerful lightning bolt that deals heavy damage to multiple enemies. Heracles' Strength, a ground pound that creates a shockwave and deals heavy damage to nearby enemies. Aphrodite's Charm, a spell that stuns enemies and makes them vulnerable to attack. Athena's Dash, which is a quick dash that allows players to close the distance between themselves and their enemies or evade enemy attacks. And my personal favorite, which is Ares' Wrath, Ares' Wrath is used by speedrunners of the game because it's an ability that launches players into the air while summoning dozens of spears that damage and stun enemies. The main aspect of the godly power is its ability to increase verticality and shortcut many parts of the game, but it's not recommended or viable for new players, as it is virtually a requirement to play on New Game Plus to effectively use this ability to its fullest. As players progress through the game, they can acquire new weapons and godly powers, or upgrade existing ones. These upgrades may increase damage dealt, range, or stun. This allows Fenyx to tailor the combat approach to their preferred playstyle and gain an edge in battle. Overall, the weapons and godly powers in Immortals Fenyx Rising offer a great deal of depth and variety on the combat system, allowing players to create their own unique playstyle and engage in fast-paced and strategic battles against a range of mythical creatures and fearsome monsters. Now after that, there's something else that is a little bit interesting with the game that I think needs to be mentioned. In addition to its combat system, Immortals Fenyx Rising also features a range of puzzles and minigames that players can engage with as they explore the game's vast open world. These puzzles offer a change of pace from the fast-paced action and combat, and challenge players to use their wits and problem-solving skills in order to progress. The game features a variety of puzzles, including logical puzzles, dexterity challenges, and environment-based puzzles. These puzzles often require players to use their weapons and abilities in creative ways, and offer a range of rewards for completion, including new weapons, abilities, and resources. One of my personal favorite minigames are the locked chests and vaults that require Fenyx to find pearls in the vicinity and align them in a certain way to access the area. That is because the physics in this game are top-notch. Everything is movable. Everything is almost realistic with the way that you can move it. And you can roll things, you can throw things, things tumble, things twist, things fall. It's honestly really amazing how well it's made in that aspect. And I think using the pearls and finding the pearls with the way that they move and the way you have to maneuver them is almost realistic. Going back to the beginning of Fenyx's story, they investigate the surroundings and eventually encounter Hermes, who informs Fenyx of Typhon's goal to eliminate the gods and recreate the world in his image. It's a very straightforward goal and is not very in-depth, but the story is focused on Fenyx's journey and not necessarily the story of Typhon. Sure, defeating Typhon was a goal, but Fenyx's inner struggle with who they view themselves as and who they actually are as defined by their actions is on full display. Because Fenyx had always been jealous of their brother Ligeron, as Ligeron was a strong soldier who is said to have killed 1,000 Spartans. This internal conflict is actually quite complex, but hidden by a comedic and cartoonish facade. After Hermes and Fenyx reach the Hall of the Gods, the hub for the gods, and what would become Fenyx's base for this game, they end up resting, training, and upgrading. This is when Hermes and Fenyx resolve to find Aphrodite, Ares, Hephaistos, and Athena in order to fight Typhon. While Fenyx is attempting to locate and recruit those gods, they encounter their version of the Assassin's Creed eagle. This is a demonic bird known as Phosphor, who becomes Fenyx's companion and can also help in fights. Now, it was time for Fenyx to officially recruit the gods. For the sake of the general order that most players seem to go in, we'll start with Aphrodite, the goddess of love. Before we start to talk about Aphrodite's role in this story, it's important to note that all of the 4 main gods featured in the recruitment section of the story have problems that they need solving before they can join Fenyx, but none of these problems are ordinary. Starting with Aphrodite, Fenyx has to help Aphrodite get over her deep sadness as she had lost her lover Adonis, which caused chaos, and Aphrodite had turned herself into a tree. This is contrasted by Aphrodite's portion of the game, which is seen as the most beautiful, as she is very sad and is a dark time for Aphrodite's life. Fenyx has to collect Aphrodite's tears from vaults, and involves puzzles and combat. After collecting the tears and doing more tasks, Fenyx restores Aphrodite's essence and receives her blessing, which grants certain buffs to the character. After Fenyx recruits Aphrodite, they make their way to help Ares, the god of war. In this section of the game, Ares is turned into a literal chicken as a way to taunt him and show that he's not as strong as he may seem. And Fenyx helps Ares get his essence back by completing a vault, finding his salpinx, which is a trumpet, if I pronounce that correctly, Typhon's melody of tribute, and then accessing his fortress to find a tracker for his essence as it was stolen in his vault by a mysterious being. After accessing Ares' fortress, Fenyx finds Ligeron, who is actually alive and had been scavenging for resources. After a quick discussion, Ligeron gives Fenyx Ares' essence, restoring him to his godly form. But before they separate, they promise to meet at the top of the giant snowy mountain known as King's Peak. The next god is Hephaistos, the god of blacksmithing and the god who created the weapons for other gods. Hephaistos has always been known as an outcast to the other main gods, and this is also seen in Immortals Fenyx Rising. Hephaistos was seen as one of the nicest but closed-off gods in the game. Hephaistos was turned into an automaton and had lost his memory. He was a bubbly and sarcastic character with a good heart, though. Fenyx had to fully put Hephaistos' automaton body back together as he was missing his hands. And after his hands were restored, Fenyx and Hephaistos restarted his forge and restored his memory. Together they found Pandora's box and Hephaistos' hammer. Fenyx goes into Hephaistos' vault and the background of him is revealed and his essence is restored. Now, the Athena section is, in my opinion, a little bit boring, but that's because there's not much main story substance. It's a little bit of fetch questing, but Fenyx has to go find Aphrodite last, and that is the goddess of wisdom and strategy. And Athena had been turned into a child by Typhon. Athena revealed that she was being chased by a Hydra and asked Fenyx to defeat it. After Fenyx defeats the Hydra, Athena tasks them with completing hero tasks, such as hunting Atalanta's prey and returning Odysseus' ship. Fenyx then defeated Cerberus, the pet of Hades and guardian of the underworld. Lastly, Fenyx is sent to overcome Athena's temple and retrieve her essence, and by defeating the Gorgon Medusa, Fenyx recovers the essence and restores Athena to her godly form. Throughout this entire story, there was one thing that had been hinted at and was going on in the background, and that is Ligeron's arc. You see, as Fenyx was going to meet Ligeron at King's Peak after restoring the god's essence, they overhear Ligeron talking to Typhon, and Ligeron was seen creating a potion to kill the gods. Typhon promised Ligeron power and the status of a god, and Fenyx had to fight Ligeron in order to stop his actions. Throughout this fight, we see the internal conflict that Fenyx was struggling with become vocalized. Fenyx becomes enraged and lashes out at Ligeron, mentioning that they never competed with him, who had killed 1,000 Spartans and destroyed fleets. The twist of this fight is that Ligeron reveals that he actually hid during the major storm that happened during the supposed battle with the Spartans, and he claimed that he actually killed them. And it turned out that Fenyx was actually far braver than Ligeron was in the first place, but as soon as that was realized, Ligeron was able to escape. Now comes the finale of this story. Fenyx follows Ligeron to Typhon's mountain in the center of the world and climbs to the top of it. At the top of the mountain was the entrance to Typhon's vault, where Fenyx knew they would have to face him. As Fenyx and Typhon battled, it became clear that Fenyx would overpower him. As Typhon was about to be defeated, he said something that twisted the story completely. Typhon had said that Hermes was Phoenix's real father. Suddenly, the story shifts to Zeus and Prometheus. Zeus questions the statement that Hermes was Phoenix's father, and comes to realize that it was actually himself who turned humans into stone. Prometheus had started the story as a way to save the world by asking his brother Atlas to create the storm that caused Phoenix to end up on the beach. Additionally, Atlas freed Typhon to distract Zeus. So it was actually revealed by Prometheus in that moment that Phoenix was the son of Thetis and Zeus, which meant that Phoenix was immortal. This explains why Phoenix was so strong and able to accomplish feats like holding Hephaistos' hammer without facing any death, Phoenix is able to climb to the top of King's Peak and find Zeus and Prometheus. And Zeus reveals that he turned the humans to stone because he had reset humanity many times to try to make them perfect and had failed each time. Just as Phoenix and Zeus connect for the first time, Typhon comes back and snatches Zeus before anything could be done. Phoenix once again resolves to defeat Typhon and save Ligeron and Zeus. After using the help of all the gods in the story, Phoenix successfully defeats Typhon for good. After the battle is over, Zeus apologizes to the other gods and revives the humans. In the last scene, Ligeron can be seen climbing King's Peak to meet Prometheus, where Ligeron says that he will help Prometheus out after he tells him a story that Zeus asked him to tell, which was the story of Phoenix. This makes Prometheus curse Zeus, and the story ends. The reason why I believe that Immortals Fenyx Rising is Ubisoft's forgotten game is that it's a hidden gem. This game is a game that the Assassin's Creed Odyssey developers made, and I believe that they wanted to make it instead of Odyssey, so they just made both because they were basically forced to make Odyssey, but that's just my personal headcanon. It even features voice actors from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I think that the game features lighthearted, albeit occasionally cringe dialogue, but the scenery is beautiful, the physics are amazing, the combat's unique, and can involve much innovation. The story is pretty straightforward, so it's not that convoluted or complex. I hope that I portrayed this story in a way that was easy to digest, as it took me a very long time to actually make this, and I wanted to showcase this game more than I had done in the past in a couple of videos. I did make a review of one of the DLCs for the game, which I thought was not good at all, as it was very repetitive, but it was still creative in its puzzles. This game, in my opinion, is a must-buy when on sale. However, when it's full price, I would not exactly recommend it. But I don't think it's full price anymore, considering the game is 2.5 years old. This game includes 3 DLC expansions, and the total for the Gold Edition, which is the base game including the DLCs, is $20 USD, and is undoubtedly a price I would pay again for this game. It's a great game in its own right, and is a really good game for telling Greek mythology, and it's really easy to understand for beginners, and is a great introduction to the topic. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey obviously involved some mythology, but not nearly as much as it could have, as the protagonist was mostly indifferent to the topic of religion, which I kind of find as a disappointment of the game personally. I hope that those that have watched to this point decided to at least give the game a try, because it's very much a 20 to 30 hour experience that does not overstay its welcome. And some additional notes that are a bit off topic, which is going to be about my personal experiences lately and why I haven't uploaded, blah, blah, blah. And that is because I was on a study abroad and focusing on school. I'm still in school right now and definitely do have to focus on it. And I will start working again, as I didn't whenever I went to study abroad, obviously. But as of now, I decided to come out with this video and hopefully make some Assassin's Creed videos again, but there's not really much at all going on in terms of Assassin's Creed. Obviously, we have Mirage, which I may make a video on, talking about my initial impressions and stuff. I will not say anything right now in this video. But other than that, there's really not much news or anything with Assassin's Creed, so it's a bit of a lull. I could make videos about some of the past games, but it's kind of beating a dead horse, but who knows. So I really hope you enjoyed this. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Like, subscribing, honestly, you'll see more videos from me. I will be coming out with more, so if you subscribe, obviously you won't have to search for my videos again. And I assume if you've watched to this part, you will hopefully subscribe. But thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.